if you want to be an asshole, but don't claim to be kind while you're doing it. It's like hashtag be kind, go kill yourself. Like that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you wanna go and mob people into suicide, by all means, but don't fucking claim you're progressive while you're doing it. Yeah. Don't claim you're a good person. You're not a fucking good person.
Yeah, there's so much stuff like that where you're just like, so your whole thing that if you add up all that you've done for last year is like you've gotten 5 people fired, you're unhappy, you know, you kind of have a big fight with your family, you've actually made things worse because you just got people hyped up on the other side. So it's like all you've done is create a bunch of misery. Right. And we have we've known someone like that with Joke Wise. He was kind of that guy, and my buddy, I remember once said to him, he was just like, dude, I like spent the last 2 years making people laugh and happy, and you've spent the last 2 years making people miserable. So and you right. think that you're the fucking good guy here?
Yeah, and that's how they see it. And then they use another phrase which it just annoys me so much, is on the wrong side of history. Oh, how the fuck do you know?
Well, the winners decide.
Not only that, but nobody's ever thought they were on the wrong side of history.
No.
Yeah. There's not one person who's ever been like, you know what? We're on the wrong side of history, but let's do this anyways.
Yeah, even Hitler was like, we're on the right side of history, yeah?
Everybody. Nobody's ever thought that, ever.
No. I mean, it just depends on who writes the fucking book.
For sure, but no, I'm saying they always go, right side of history. Be like, nobody thinks they're on the wrong side of history. Everybody assumes they're...
See, Danny, this is exactly the problem with ideology, man, is it gives you license to go and do terrible shit.
Yeah.
Just because you're on the right side of history.
Course.
You know?
Yeah.
So you can go and do whatever you want. You know, and that's my issue with all of it. Ideology, right and left. It's like if you think you're entitled to do terrible things to other people because you've got the right opinions, fuck you.
I mean, the communist government in China is probably telling these Uyghurs who are in these camps, you go, you're really on the wrong side of history.
Right.
You're not even going to be in the books.
You better shape up here. You don't want to be on the wrong side of history with your blue jumpers in these camps.
But it's also as well, like, everybody's now part of a team. So everybody is terrified because our hormones literally program us to want to be part of a team. So nobody wants to get alienated by their team. No one wants to get ostracized.
No,
so
it hurts, yeah.
Yeah, because it hurts. It's painful. It's not nice. But what happens? We then get pushed into a type of behavior because the rest of the team is doing it.
Well, I would say this, though, in terms of like our journey, certainly, it's like, I'm a big fan of that Fight Club quote. It's only once you've lost everything that you're free to do anything. Yeah. Like when we got kicked out of the comedy industry the way that we did in the UK, that was the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yeah,
I would definitely say
I do
that.
sometimes think, because we have friends like in Canada, for example, and they have, like, what's success there is not really, like, globally, really. You would consider not success here. But it kind of locks them into this thing where they kind of, you know, they'll never really achieve, like, a ton because they're kind of comfortable in this thing. And but it's not really great objectively, but in the context of Canada, it is. Yeah. So they just, you know, and then eventually one day they go, yeah, we don't like you anymore, and it's over. And they're
this is what we did. So when that happened with us, we were just like, we're going to create... That was always my thinking on it.
You're going to say what you want to say now.
And we're going to create a siege mentality. Like this is us. We've been kicked out. We got to make our own shit, and it's just down to us. No one's going to help us. No one's going to help you. You just got to make it. You just got to create something that other people are going to enjoy.
Dude, there's so many people when you, like, if you know, in their books, and obviously some of this romanticized, but like so many popular thinkers and speakers or comedians or whatever that kind of, they look back and they go, and that was the time when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to say everything I actually think. Yeah. And then that's when they start, like, that's when
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But see, I was...
Because if you're not saying what you think, if you're just saying the acceptable things, you go, everyone's just like, I know that's the thing. I've also been, like, everyone else is saying that too.
Do you know the thing that was the hardest for me was, like, I was such a naive idiot when I turned down that contract. Because I thought, I'm taking one for team comedy here. Like, we comedians. You
thought comedians were at this monolith. We're all doing this, right?
Yeah, I thought most comedians would, like, be on my side.
That's funny. And you were up for
they might have been 2 years earlier.
Yeah, they might have been.
Yeah.
Can you believe they're telling us we can't make fun of religion here?
Yeah. And then it just turned out that for the majority of them, it was the exact opposite, and that was shocking to me.
But do you think it was just the self-preservation? But it was the self-preservation. Yeah, their self-preservation. They're like, I don't want to be the person sticking their neck out. Good, you know, maybe like you said in private, they were like, thanks.
Well, actually, Francis tells a very good story about a comic who passed away recently,
Yeah, so there was a comedian.
Belt around the neck?
Yeah. No, he passed away. And
This man has no fucking
no,
boundaries.
man, he doesn't. Fucking cancel it.
We don't know him.
Grandma in the gulag. Oh,
Yeah.
Triggered.
You getting this?
But yeah, so like he passed away, and I was talking to him when he was receiving treatment, and because I knew he was having a hard time with it, and we used to check in every once in a while, and he used to really like trigonometry, and he said to me, "Do you know what, Francis? Like, I could never be as brave as you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he went, "Because like I really love Douglas Murray, but when people come round to my house, like I hide those books." And I can never be, and I would never ever say that I agree with some of these opinions, because I know what would happen. I would be ostracized.
Yeah.
I do that with my Leenum Dunham biography.
I would have friends turn against me, right?
Of course.
So he went through treatment. He sadly passed away, and I saw, and he was a lovely person. He really was. He was a really nice person. And when people were writing about him, they kept using the word nice. Now, what does that actually mean? And the way
Compliant?
that exactly,
Yeah.
and it meant that he didn't challenge him. He didn't say I disagree. He didn't go his own way. He didn't stand up for himself, and that's what, in many ways, that they liked about him.
yeah.
And that's how it is, man. Because for a lot of people, they're too scared. They're just too scared to stand up because they don't want to face the costs and the consequences of actually being honest about what they think and feel. And that's it. It's really sad. And you see these people going, "Oh, he was such a nice person," and I just thought, "Fuck you! You don't believe that. You just liked him because he just went along with whatever you thought.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all it is."
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to go against the grain.
It is. We've had isn't it crazy the extent to which comedians die too? Like, I don't know if you've had that, but it's like me and Danny know like 7 comedians that have committed suicide probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this is what we were talking about before we started. Like, I don't do stand-up anymore, man, because I just love my life now. And when I was doing stand-up, I fucking didn't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
I didn't love my life then.
Yeah.
I love it now,
Yeah.
It's just, stand-up is a hard lifestyle.
Oh.
It's a hard lifestyle.
Yeah.
Especially once you start having kids and, you've got a family, etc. So that makes sense to me,
Yeah.
It's just not, it's hard physically, like, you eat.
Mentally, you never
eat-
turn off. It's like all of the parts are hard, I think, for people.
Yeah.
And then when you go online, it's not like you could do before, like in the 90s, where you've done a gig or whatever else, and you can just switch off and you go back home and you watch a video, you do whatever you do.
Never ends.
Yeah, it never ends, and you just pick up an your phone. You're like, how the fuck did he get that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's constantly.
That's so many things right now, man.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that would be. It really is. I'd like to say, just shut it off, but it's impossible. It's just no, because when you're saying the guy that he's very nice, but it's like some people aren't built like that. I know strong people. This shit breaks them. You're just like, man, it really is. You got to figure out a way to fucking tape yourself off from this shit.
Yeah. But I think comics have an advantage because we've trained ourselves not to take ourselves seriously. So when people come after me, I just laugh at them now. You know what I mean?
That does help a bit. Yeah.
Whereas if you're like, this is one of the reasons
you've thought of all the insults people could say to you,
right?
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons I think Jordan Peterson like keeps going through these periods where he like has a difficult time of it, because he's someone who's very earnest. He's trying to make the world a better place. Whereas, we sort of feel that way as well. But on the other hand, I'm just like, well, this guy's a dickhead.
No.
Jordan Peterson doesn't have that answer in his locker. He can't say, oh, this guy's just a dickhead, because he's trying to help everyone. You know what I mean?
Jordan
sounds
Peterson,
accurate.
he can't quote tweet someone with the words "I banged your mum." Do you know what I mean? Like that classic staple.
But that's like the deflection tactics of the comedy are actually very good for dealing with people coming after you, because you're just like.
But that is like originally, and it's not obviously not just comedians. A million people are good at this that I know that aren't specifically do comedy. But you go, one of the reasons it is there is like a way to be able to make your brain okay with what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean,
also-
I'm sure you've experienced a barrage of negative comments on Twitter during one of your things. You're like, even though you're prepared for it, it still kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does suck. And the first time is fucking hard, man.
But it does. It's also. I feel like one thing that makes it easier is when you become more in tune with the levels of it. You know what I mean? Like imagine, like when you're just like, okay, I know that this is maybe a bit more than I'm getting than usual, but it's when you've never experienced this, it could be like 30 people are mad at you, and I've had a lot of people call me and be like, hey, you get in trouble a lot. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like the go-to guy for a lot of old friends and stuff. But there'll be, 30 people. They're like, my life's over. Like, I'm deleting my Twitter. I'm deleting my Instagram, because it's like. But if you go, no, what you did, 30 is actually nothing. Like, this is. But you can't, once you kind of know what the waves look like, you can surf them a little better.
Well, what happened with me is I got the big wave. Like, I got the tsunami wave on the first fucking go. So I had it, like, out. For Francis, it was a slower process. For me,
slow
it was
and
just
sensual. That's how I like my cancellations.
He had the hatred's just dripping in.
He had the lube so there. No lube for me. But that's kind of how it was. And then once you go through that, you are genuinely free. It's a beautiful thing, man. Especially once you've got something like this, where you're doing your own thing and you don't really give a shit what anyone thinks. That's beautiful, man. That's real freedom.
And we interviewed one of our guests. She's a YouTuber. She's from New York, actually, called Ariel Scarcella. And she's a gay woman, and she called, like, when she came out on the right, I mean, she's a conservative, I think she would describe herself as her second coming out. And in a way, like, I'm not on the right, neither is Konstantin, but just going like, I disagree with this bullshit. It's like a coming out moment, because people are like, what the fuck?
She probably lost most of her friends.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, LGBT or whatever, and you're coming out as, you probably lose a ton of your friends.
But it was sort of probably like, having being in a place where you can't have a certain book and you're just like, yo, check this out. Like, certain people were like that. Like, yo, did you hear about this guy? Or like, there was people, the comics that were doing, our little crew of people that some people would do like, wild jokes, and we're like, oh shit, we're going to do that? Okay. I think, you almost need a little bit of like a time. It's impossible to do anything alone. Like, you always need a little tiny bit of a community.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about the internet, man, is like, we wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the internet.
Totally,
None of us, So while all this shit is going on and it's bad, we've also got to be present to the fact that there's a lot of great stuff going on as well, And there's never been more opportunity at the same time.
This is the New Clips channel. Hit us with a subscribe. Let's get those numbers up. Thank you. Peace.